Long before skyscrapers pierced the skyline. Before language connected civilizations. Even before humans existed. Earth was never quiet. Every landscape had its own rhythm. Rain drummed against leaves. Wind swept through forests. Oceans crashed against rocky shores. Insects buzzed beneath the grass. At night, when darkness covered everything, countless sounds continued without pause. For hundreds of millions of years, mammals evolved inside this endless symphony. To them, sound wasn't entertainment. It was information. A hidden predator could remain invisible behind thick vegetation. But it couldn't always remain silent. One snapping branch. A faint rustle in the bushes. A distant growl carried by the wind. Those tiny signals often arrived long before danger came into view. That's why hearing became one of evolution's most valuable survival tools. Unlike your eyes, which only see what's in front of you, your ears monitor nearly every direction at once. Even while you sleep. In fact, modern brain imaging has revealed something remarkable. While many parts of your brain reduce activity during sleep, your auditory system never completely switches off. It continues scanning your surroundings, separating ordinary sounds from unusual ones. Most of the time, this happens without your awareness. Right now, your ears are collecting far more information than you realize. The quiet hum of electricity. Air circulating through the room. Fabric brushing against your skin. The rhythm of your breathing. Even the faint beating of your heart. Your brain receives all of it. Yet you notice almost none of it. Why? Because one of the brain's most important jobs isn't gathering information. It's ignoring information. Neuroscientists call this sensory filtering. Every second, your brain decides which sounds deserve your attention, and which should disappear into the background. Without that filter, everyday life would become overwhelming. Imagine walking into a crowded cafe and hearing every conversation equally clearly. Every spoon touching a cup. Every chair scraping the floor. Every phone vibrating. Every cough. Every footstep. The human brain would struggle to focus on anything. Instead, it performs an extraordinary act of editing. It quietly removes thousands of unnecessary details before they ever reach your conscious mind. But this raises an unexpected question. What happens when there's nothing left to edit? No conversations. No wind. No traffic. No distant machinery. No environmental noise at all. You might expect the brain to finally rest. Instead, it begins searching even harder. Because silence isn't something your brain evolved to understand. And when expected information disappears, evolution has another strategy. It starts generating possibilities of its own. That realization inspired scientists to build one of the strangest rooms on Earth. To understand what silence does to the brain, scientists had to build a place that almost seems impossible. A room designed to erase sound itself. These rooms are called anechoic chambers. Unlike ordinary rooms, where sound waves bounce off the walls and return to your ears, an anechoic chamber absorbs nearly every echo. The walls are covered with massive foam wedges. The ceiling does the same. Even the floor is suspended to block vibrations from the outside world. When the heavy door seals shut, the world seems to disappear. At first, the experience feels almost magical. No traffic. No air conditioners. No distant conversations. No echoes. Every familiar sound you've ignored your entire life simply vanishes. Many people describe the first few seconds as peaceful. Almost relaxing. But then, something unexpected begins to happen. Instead of becoming quieter, the brain begins listening more carefully. Imagine standing in a crowded room while someone whispers your name. You probably wouldn't hear it. Now imagine everyone suddenly leaves. The same whisper becomes impossible to ignore. Your brain works the same way. When external sounds disappear, it automatically increases its sensitivity. Neuroscientists refer to this process as neural gain. Think of it as turning up the volume on a speaker. If incoming signals become weaker, the brain boosts them in an attempt to recover missing information. Normally, That adjustment is incredibly useful. It helps you detect distant footsteps, a baby's cry, a branch snapping in the woods. But inside an anechoic chamber, there are almost no external sounds left to amplify. So the brain begins amplifying something else. It amplifies itself. People who remain inside long enough often begin noticing sounds that have always been there, but were hidden beneath everyday life. Their breathing suddenly sounds enormous. Their heartbeat echoes through their chest. Some hear blood flowing through their ears. Others notice tiny muscles moving inside their face. Even blinking can become surprisingly loud. The silence isn't empty anymore. It's filled with the machinery of the human body. Then the experience becomes stranger still. After enough time, some people begin reporting sounds that shouldn't exist. Soft buzzing, whispers, music, footsteps, someone calling their name. None of these sounds come from the room. They come from the brain. This surprises many people because we usually think hearing works like a microphone. Sound enters the ear. The brain records it. And we experience reality. But that's not how perception actually works. Your brain is constantly making predictions about what it expects to hear. Every second, it compares incoming information with those predictions. When both match, reality feels stable. But when information suddenly disappears, the brain doesn't simply wait. It starts filling in the missing pieces. Think about autocorrect on your phone. Sometimes it correctly predicts the next word. Other times it invents something completely wrong because there wasn't enough information. Your brain behaves in a surprisingly similar way. When sensory information becomes incomplete, prediction grows stronger. And sometimes, prediction becomes perception. This isn't a malfunction. It's a feature that helped our ancestors survive. For millions of years, assuming a predator was nearby, even when uncertain, was often safer than assuming everything was fine. Evolution rewarded brains that preferred false alarms over missed danger. That same survival system still exists inside you today. Even if the forest has been replaced by 4 quiet walls. But hearing imaginary sounds is only the beginning. Because silence doesn't just change what you hear. It changes how your brain constructs reality itself. Most of us grow up believing we experience the world exactly as it is. See a tree. There's a tree. Hear a voice. Someone is speaking. Touch a table. The table is real. It feels obvious. But neuroscience paints a much stranger picture. Your brain never has direct access to reality. It only has access to electrical signals. Light enters your eyes as tiny packets of information. Pressure stimulates your skin. Sound vibrates tiny cells inside your ears. Everything else, the colors you see, the sounds you hear, the world you believe you're living in, is assembled inside your brain. A perfect example is your blind spot. Every human eye has one. It's the place where the optic nerve leaves the retina. That area cannot detect light at all. If vision worked like a camera, you'd constantly see a dark hole floating in front of you. But you never do. Your brain quietly fills in the missing information using the surrounding image. It edits reality without asking your permission. The same process happens with sound, memory, touch, even your sense of time. Your brain is constantly predicting what should happen next. Most of the time, those predictions are corrected by the outside world. Reality acts like a teacher, constantly telling your brain whether its expectations are right or wrong. But remove enough sensory information, and those corrections begin to disappear. That's when prediction becomes increasingly powerful. Some neuroscientists describe perception as a controlled hallucination. The phrase sounds alarming, but the important word is controlled. Normally, your senses keep the hallucination aligned with reality. Silence reveals what happens when those anchors become weaker. The brain doesn't stop creating reality. It simply has fewer clues to work with. That's why sensory deprivation fascinates researchers. It exposes the hidden machinery behind consciousness. For a brief moment, You can watch the brain doing what it always does. Building a model of the world. Updating it. Correcting it. Guessing when information is missing. Reality, as you experience it, isn't something delivered to you fully formed. It's something constructed millions of times every second. Billions of neurons exchange electrical signals at incredible speed, transforming raw data into colors, voices, emotions, and memories. Only after that process is complete do you become consciously aware of the world. Which leads to one of the deepest questions in science. If your brain creates the reality you experience, who, or what, is experiencing the brain? Despite decades of research, no one knows. Consciousness remains one of neuroscience's greatest unsolved mysteries. And strangely enough, silence may offer one of the clearest windows into understanding it. Because when the outside world grows quiet, the mind reveals how much of reality it has been creating all along. Tonight, when the world settles into silence, try something unusual. Turn off the television. Put away your phone. Sit quietly for just a few minutes. At first, you'll hear almost nothing. Then, little by little, new sounds begin to appear. Your breathing. The rhythm of your heartbeat. The faint ringing many people never notice. Tiny details that have been there all along. Not because they suddenly appeared, but because your brain finally had room to notice them. That simple experiment reveals something extraordinary. Silence isn't empty. It's a mirror. A mirror that reflects the hidden processes constantly shaping your perception of the world. For millions of years, evolution built a brain that expected endless streams of information. When those streams disappear, the brain refuses to remain passive. It predicts. It interprets. Sometimes, it even creates experiences of its own. That's not a flaw. It's the very mechanism that helped our ancestors survive in an unpredictable world. And it continues shaping every moment of your life today. Perhaps the most surprising discovery isn't that silence can change what you hear. It's that silence reveals how reality itself is constructed. Every sight, every sound, every memory, every moment of awareness exists because your brain transforms electrical signals into the world you know. So the next time you find yourself surrounded by complete silence, remember this. You aren't simply listening to the absence of sound. You're witnessing one of the most remarkable abilities ever produced by evolution. A brain that can build an entire reality. Even when the world says nothing at all.